Anyway, good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon. We do not have an opening prayer because we had that beautiful sinologue dance. And we would like to have this afternoon a very entertaining time for all of us. And now let me give you Father Jose Femilugutay, OFM, for the opening remarks. Let's give him a big hand.
Iba Talaga. Good afternoon, everyone. Iba talaga ang opening remarks na ito, unang-una sa lahat. Because this will be a relatively long, not short, but long opening remarks. Because part of this will be a going back, a returning to our past. But anyway, let me begin with the title itself, the title of this concert. Iba talaga. Iba si San Francisco at si Santa Clara. Iba sila talaga because they have made a difference in the lives of countless people like you and me in our desire to follow the Lord according to the footsteps that they have exemplified. Iba rin talaga ang palabas na ito because it coincides with the launching this year of two very important events that we are all waiting to happen not very far from now. One is the 8th centenary of the founding of the Order of Friars Minor and the beginning of the Franciscan movement, 1209 and 2009. Second is the 25th anniversary of the founding of the Franciscan province of San Pedro Bautista in the Philippines, 1983 to 2008. It is for this reason that the Franciscan Order has chosen the theme for these celebrations, the grace of our origins, in order for all of us to discern and rediscover how God in His abounding grace and love has guided the vocation of every Franciscan, religious, priest, lay brother or sister, in the efforts to follow the will of our Lord God, with our Holy Father and Founder Saint Francis of Assisi, and our Holy Mother Clare as models of discipleship. In our discernment, we desire to look back to our origins and see how the Franciscan spirit has evolved in history, in our own history, and most especially how the spirit has come to our shores, how it was sown here in the Philippines, watered, nourished, blossomed, and has evolved into what it is now today. For us to appreciate this evolution, let us take a ride to memory lane and allow me to guide you in this retracing of our roots, and let us take a pilgrimage in time with this brief history of the Order of Friars Minor in the Philippines, 1578 to 2006, 428 years of Franciscan presence in the Philippines. Well, only in 15 minutes. Yes, in just 15 minutes or less if possible. And since I'm only given this very short period of time for this presentation, let me just present to you a chronology of the highlights of the history of the OFMs in the Philippines. It all began in June 1576. The custody of St. Gregory the Great was formed in Spain for the mission in the Philippines. June 24, 1577, they departed from Spain, crossed the Atlantic Ocean, went through overland Mexico, crossed the Pacific Ocean, and on July the 2nd, 1578, 15 Franciscan friars led by Fray Pedro Alfaro arrived in Manila. So from Spain to the Americas and finally to the Philippines. On August 2, 1578, the first friary and church of the Franciscan in Intramuros, Manila, was inaugurated and dedicated in honor of Our Lady of the Angels. In 1586, November 15, the province of San Gregorio Magno de las Islas de Filipinas was established. In 1621, the Poor Clares, led by Mother Jeronima de la Asuncion, arrived in Manila. From then on, many other Franciscans, friars, came and engaged themselves in the evangelization of the archipelago. In 1896, before the outbreak of the revolution, there were more than 200 Franciscan missionaries in the Philippines, administering to over 100 parishes and mission areas. In 1898, we had our independence, though the end of the Spanish colonial rule gravely depleted the number of Franciscans in the Philippines. They have already left their marks all over the country through their contributions. And what are these contributions of the Franciscans in the Philippine Church and in the Philippine society? We can mention first and foremost the first civil and penal code of the customs of the Filipinos, which was composed by Fray Juan de Plasencia because of the request of the First Synod of Manila. The Franciscans were also engaged in the building of infrastructures like bridges, roads, irrigation canals, etc. A Franciscan, Fray Felix de Huerta, in 1879, put up, or through him, a free loan bank was put up, the famous Monte de Piedad. And it was also through him, in 1882, he was behind the construction of a water system of Manila, the Nawasa, as we know, after he discovered the legacy left behind by Don Francisco Carriedo. The Franciscans also were involved in the founding of mission areas, the towns and parishes, through the policy of reducciones. And on these reducciones arose the Franciscan churches.